Monsters have been the face of our irrational fears and captured our imaginations since the beginning of civilization. Like our fears, they come in all shapes and sizes and meet us in our nightmares. They can be physical manifestations of evil, serve as metaphors that reflect our current anxieties, or they can be cautionary tales about the consequences of man's meddling with the natural order. Movies have been the perfect medium to explore the darker corners of our minds and help create the iconic representations that we will forever associate with these movie monsters. Welcome back to Movie Monsters. This week we're gonna get spooky with the history of ghosts in film. Ghosts have been a part of our history as long as there's been dead people. With the ability to record stories and histories, ghosts and supernatural eventually found their way into literature, stage, and inevitably film. While tracing the history and finding the beginning of ghost stories is literally fucking impossible, the history of ghosts as movie monsters is much easier to track. So get your proton packs ready and let's take a look at some of the major movies that define this genre. 1908's The House of Ghosts is a stop-motion silent film that involves a group of people that seek shelter in a cabin in the woods. Always a good idea, and lo and behold, it's haunted. The House of Ghosts inspired director Jennifer Kent to create The Babadook, which pays homage to House of Ghosts by including footage in a scene. Kind of off topic, but if you haven't seen The Babadook, definitely check that movie out. What do you do if you and your family are trapped in a haunted house with 12 ghosts, a hidden treasure, a lawyer, and a gun with only 2 bullets? Shoot the lawyer. Twice. 13 Ghosts follows the typical haunting movie setup. A nice family inherits a house, and the house turns out to be haunted. Pretty straightforward stuff, but this one has an added twist. The lawyer is a greedy bastard. Wait, is that actually a twist at all? The 12 ghosts end up helping the family to dispatch the lawyer, who ends up becoming, say it with me, the 13th ghost. And next, we discuss The Haunting of Hill House, or The House on Haunted Hill. Either way, that's a whole lot of H's. Anywho, the legendary Vincent Price plays Lauren, a crazy rich dude that invites 5 guests to spend one night in a creepy-ass house for a $10,000 reward. His wife tries to tell everyone that he's nuts, so they all immediately start to get suspicious of him. As the night progresses, after double crosses and sightings of prop skeletons, the bodies start stacking up. Are there supernatural elements at play, or something more nefarious? This movie also has a remake. 1963's The Haunting is narrated by a paranormal doctor who's studying the place. He tells the story of a magnate that builds a house for his wife and family only to have tragedy strike before she's even entered. The 90-year-old house was constructed similar to the real-life Winchester house, which if you don't know about that, definitely give it a Google. The doctor decides he wants to study the place and acquires the help of the heir to the estate, a psychic, and a woman named Eleanor with a past connection to spirits. As they explore its bizarre layout, the paranormal activities start ramping up, and Eleanor starts to become increasingly obsessed with the place. This is another one that was remade, and the 1999 version lacks the suspense and tension and other stuff that makes a movie good. Owen Wilson came out looking like a real bellhead. Sorta based on a true story, the Amityville Horror follows the Lutz family who just got a great deal on their new home, 18 months after the grisly murders of another family. Yeah, that seems to depreciate the value of a house pretty well, but shortly after moving in, strange things start happening. Disembodied voices, swarms of flies in winter, the seeming possession of Mr. Lutz himself, and some other stuff. It's a decent movie. George C. Scott stars in 1980's The Changeling. This is a movie I didn't see until much more recently, and I gotta say, it is really, really good. Scott plays a grieving composer that moves across the country into a creepy, obviously gonna be haunted house after the death of his wife and daughter. Ghost stuff starts happening, which leads him down a strange path to the supernatural, murder, and even political intrigue. The set design in this movie is amazing. The whole house is so creepy. The performances are solid, and it stacks on a couple of extra layers that really elevate it from other films of its ilk. And it makes the all-time creepiest use of a wheelchair in cinematic history. Starring the original Scream Queen, Jamie Lee Curtis, 1980's The Fog is a decent little supernatural flick. It takes place in a coastal town celebrating its centennial when a thick fog rolls in, so do the ghost ships and spectral sailors. A pilled out Johnny Depp won't be swinging by to save us in this one. It's one of John Carpenter's more underrated movies, but it's a cool story that's got great atmosphere. Like most of the other entries on this list, it was remade in 2005. Jesus, do I have to keep saying this? Look, almost every one of these movies is going to have a remake. So, there we go, got that out of the way. Tobe Hooper, the director responsible for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was selected to helm Poltergeist. Despite the fact that he is credited as the director, rumors suggested that Steven Spielberg ended up choosing to do most of the heavy lifting because a contract kept him from being able to work on other movies so close to the release of E.T., and he probably just thought it would be a good outlet to still do his craft, even though he wasn't technically allowed to. Regardless of all of that, it's an impressive movie. It's actually a really good watch, and it's adventure as much as it's horror. You can watch it with the whole family. Your kids can learn valuable lessons too, like don't sit too close to the TV, or trust dolls, or the Amish, or contractors. Basically, don't trust anything other than eccentric little dwarves that commune with the occult. Ghostbusters is a beloved piece of Americana. It stars comic royalty Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, What? Not that one. Oh, okay, my bad. Dan Aykroyd, Ivan Reitman, Bill Murray, Rick Moranis, newcomer Ernie Hudson, and the always wonderful Sigourney Weaver star in 1984's Ghostbusters. You know the story. A trio of parapsychologists start professional ghost hunting, and all of a sudden, New York City is overrun by paranormal activity, including the iconic apparition Slimer and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Bill Murray is on fire in Ghostbusters. The special effects are still fantastic and were groundbreaking at the time of the release, and the humor still really does hold up. So next time you want to revisit a classic, who you gonna call? I don't care, just don't call me. And what list of ghost movies would be complete without mentioning 1990's Ghost? The romance movie with Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, Sexy Pottery, Unchained Melody, and Whoopi as a con artist medium who can't believe she's seeing real ghosts.
Candyman, 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 Candyman.
Candyman's a brilliant 1992 adaptation of Clive Barker's short story. It stars Tony Todd and Virginia Madsen. She plays an Ivy League student researching urban legends when she uncovers a pattern of murders in a housing project. All of the residents speak of a hook-handed ghost by the name of Candyman. You say his name 5 times in the mirror and he appears. It's smarter than your average horror film, and it explores a lot of deeper themes. It's a haunting movie that will have you hooked?
You suck!
Peter Jackson, of Lord of the Rings fame, had his American debut with 1996's The Frighteners. It's about a con artist medium played by Michael J. Fox, who actually does commune with a couple of ghosts that are buddies of his. He runs like a paranormal investigator business, and he's got these guys, these 3 ghosts that'll go into the client's house and like move shit around and freak everybody out. And then Michael J. Fox's character will go in and basically exorcise the house and clean it of its evil spirits for a fee. But then shit gets really weird when the Grim Reaper ends up showing up and starting to mark people for death. It's not a great movie, but it's a pretty cool movie, and I gotta say, I actually enjoyed it. Plus, The Frighteners paved the way for Peter Jackson to be able to direct my favorite trilogy of all time. Ringu is the movie that kicked off the whole J-horror craze here in the United States. We also have an American remake that is surprisingly solid, and it's very faithful to the original, but the story involves a haunted videotape. Remember videotapes? It causes the death 7 days after you watch it. The tape comes to the attention of a reporter that pretty much becomes obsessed with finding out the origins of this mysterious and murderous force that drives it. Sixth Sense was the introduction to one of Hollywood's most divisive directors, M. Night Shyamalan. He was originally heralded as the next Spielberg before he ended up being loathed by fans everywhere because of After Earth, The Happening, and the Avatar Last Airbender movie. But The Sixth Sense is undeniably clever. Bruce Willis is a psychiatrist working with a child patient that claims to see dead people. And he does. The best part is realizing that the movie earns the ending with great foreshadowing. Ju-on and The Grudge hold to the cultural belief that if someone dies in a state of extreme rage or sorrow, a person's spirit will remain behind in the form of a curse. In the case of Ju-on, the curse is inflicted on the house in which a jilted husband murders his wife and young son and the family cat before he kills himself. Kill all the family you want, but don't touch the cat. Enter a new happy family. Most you won't get to know very well. The husband and wife are killed by the evil spirits, leaving the disabled mother and her caretaker to fend off these evil ghosts alone. It's the unnatural movement of the ghosts in this, and the weird voices and noises and sound design from this movie that really give it a bizarre and disturbing vibe. And now we arrive at Paranormal Activity. This movie has a straightforward enough premise. A couple starts experiencing weird shit happening in their home, so they set up a camera to try to figure out what it is. It has a great gimmick though from a filmmaking perspective, and it showed that indie filmmakers could make profitable movies and kicked off a whole new found footage subgenre. And the DVD for the original has so many manufactured alternate endings that I don't think any two people actually saw the same one. 2014's The Conjuring is said to be based on a true story, which in itself is enough to spark a debate. Add to the fact that it's based on reports by Ed and Lorraine Warren, these paranormal investigators that some people think are credible, but other people consider them to be quacks. I tend to go with the latter. Doesn't mean James Wan didn't turn this into a damn fine haunted house throwback though. It follows the haunting of the Perron family. The ghost responsible for the haunting caused physical harm on the family, possessed the mom, and even killed the dog. Motherfucker! Entered onto the scene Ed and Lorraine Warren, who decree that this house needs an exorcism and proceed with the ritual. Like I said, the public was divided almost down the middle on this one, including members of the Perron family themselves. Some of the members say that the reports are 100% true, and others say this weird shit didn't start happening until the Warrens actually showed up. Audiences pretty much felt the same way. My writing partner calls it a 2.5-hour commercial for the Clapper. Clap on, clap off. And I say, she's wrong. Anyways, that's the list. I know there's a ton more that I wasn't able to get to, so let's start a conversation and discuss some of the ones that should have ended up on there, as well as some of your favorite and least favorite ghost movies in general. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe and enable notifications to catch new episodes every week, as well as other great content. I'm trying to decide though what to do the next video on, so leave some suggestions for that as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JeremyBTerrible, and until next week, I'm Jeremy, signing off.